let's talk about the Blue Jackets, because we have ourselves yet another controversy in regards to the coaching, in regards to the players on the team, and while it may not be as big of a deal as some of the other stories we have seen with this team, this is not Mike Babcock asking for people's phones and projecting it onto a TV level of bad. No, it's not that bad, but this is fairly interesting to note that we are making a video about this. So what I wanted to turn your attention to was this second line here on the Blue Jackets. You've got Yegor Chinakhov, you've got Dmitry Voronkov, and you've got Kirill Marchenko. Based off of just the names alone, you can tell this is a Russian line. And all three of these guys have been pretty good this season for CBJ. Let's go over to their profiles here. Yegor Chinakhov, 23 years old, left-handed winger, and he's gotten himself 28 points in 47 games played, 15 goals, 13 assists. Pretty good. Dmitry Voronkov is 23 years old, 6'5", 240, big dude, and he scored himself 30 points in 53 games played. This is his first season in the NHL after playing for Akbars Kazan in the KHL for the past 5 years. Meanwhile, you have yourselves Kirill Marchenko, who's 23 as well. These guys are young. These guys are, for the most part, pretty big. I mean, Chinakhov's the smallest at 6'1", but Marchenko is 6'3", right-handed guy, and he's got himself 31 points in 57 games played this year with CBJ, besting his point total from last year, and on pace for about 24 goals and 44 points. These three guys, Chinakhov, Voronkov, and Marchenko, have been pretty good, but we had ourselves a situation in the last CBJ game when you had yourselves head coach Pascal Vincent limited the Russians' ice time against Carolina. And he said, in regards to this decision, "I'm cautious about that line because they start playing like the Harlem Globetrotters. I don't want to see that." Oh boy. Oh dear. This is another example of archaic NHL values bringing themselves up into the coaching style of the guys today. I'm sorry, Pascal Vincent. I respect you as a guy. I respect your job. I respect the way you go out there and do your business. But that doesn't mean I gotta like it, and I think a lot of people who are Columbus Blue Jackets fans and who have watched this line are saying the same thing. How in the hell are you gonna limit the development and the progression of three of the best young guys on the team because you don't like the way they play? They pass the puck around, they get silky smooth with it, they display their skill, they go Harlem Globetrotters on the other team. You don't want to see that? You're cautious about that, and you limit their ice time because of it? Bro, come on, man. I'm not going to go out there and say that Chinakhov, Voronkov, and Marchenko are going to be the next Russian Five or whatever. Like, you're not going to see, Igor Larionov, Sergei Makarov, Vyacheslav Fetisov type careers out of this guy. I mean, if you do, then hey, that'd be great. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying it's unlikely. You're not going to get yourselves the new Russian Five by tossing these guys to the side and saying, oh yeah, sorry, you guys can't play the puck in the way the Russians play the puck. And there is a very particular style, if you have not noticed, in regards to how Russian hockey players play, and in particular when they play together. This, for example, is a documentary that I think goes over it really well. I haven't logged it on Letterboxd. By the way, you should follow me on Letterboxd. I do stuff here on this website, but this is indeed probably the best piece of, I'd say, documentary footage that goes out there and chronicles how Russian hockey was drawn up and how it was played. This, of course, is not technically the same Russian Five that we had seen in Detroit, but the Russians implemented a system where playing hockey was kind of like playing chess. There would be a grace to it. There would be passing lanes that were opened up by guys moving around. There would be passing lanes that would be shut down by guys moving to opposite sides. It was so interesting. It was like a ballet dance. That's the way they learned how to play hockey in the Soviet days, and I get it, it's not Soviet anymore, but these guys all grew up in a hockey system in the KHL mostly that, for the most part, tries to replicate those similar strategies that were used all those years ago. The KHL is a specific style of hockey where they don't like to dump it and chase it. They don't like to give extended pressure to the opposition. They like playing that graceful style. And so when you see tandems or trios of Russian players, or even quintuplets like you had in Detroit with Larionov, Fedorov, who the heck else was there? Fetisov, Konstantinov. Like, when you have that as your baseline for a unit of players on the ice, you'll see strategies that go out there and look pretty good. And so for Pascal Vincent to say, yeah, no, sorry, I don't like it, I don't want to see that, I'm going to start benching them now. These are young guys in their early 20s, and I'm going to limit their playing time because they're too skilled. That's not only backwards and archaic, man, that's just dumb. And if you go over to some of the replies here, this entire thing was posted onto the Our Hockey sub. Blue Jackets fan Revolutionary Gear 70 says, for context, they're second, third, and fourth on the team in goals scored, and all three of them are 23. Voronkov's a rookie, Marchenko's in his second year, and Chinakhov's in his third year. They've been by far the best line for the Blue Jackets this year. Pascal, I know this is going to sound crazy, but how about instead of just benching them, you actually coach them and tell you what you don't like? Skilling it up in this league? I don't think so, Pascal Vincent said. We quite literally became a dynasty by letting the Russian Five skill it up. And then there is a conversation afterwards as to what actually happened to get the benching done in the first place, because there is this conversation about the Russian Five being skilled defensively and doing their thing. The play that got Chinakhov benched was also here as well, and you can see that he's the guy with the puck in the middle. He comes right down Main Street, tries to dangle by a few guys, and then gets it picked off, and then that's when the Blue Jackets end up giving up the rush the other way. And so it's not the best play in the world, but he does have a defender back there. If the defenseman plays it properly, or the goalie makes a save, would this still warrant a benching? So there you go, other conversations as to whether or not the benching was appropriate in this respect. If you ever wonder why offense dies in Columbus, this is why. Management wants their head coach to have this kind of attitude towards players that will attempt to play a skilled game over being old-fashioned grinders. They really need to give up on trying to replicate the success they had under Tortorella. The current lineup is not built to play that kind of game. And that is an interesting way to put it, because Tortorella did not openly try to throttle the creativity of players who possessed offensive skill, most notably but not limited to Artemi Panarin. What he didn't want were guys of middling skill deciding they were going to play wide open at the expense of what they were good at. Tortorella would never complain about a skilled player making skilled plays unless he was dogging out on the backcheck or making ill-advised pinches. And so there is a lot of nuance in regards to the Columbus players over here. There is a devil's advocate perspective from a Blue Jackets fan saying that this is a bad delivery, but he's not really wrong. This trio started out with a couple of good games, and then they started getting a bit too fancy, and it all starts to fall apart. Chinakhov played probably the worst game I'd seen him play against the Hurricanes, and there was a lot of trying to set up overly complex plays. And then just a little bit further down, you have another player saying that they hate this stupid coach. So there is nuance, and there are different perspectives to view the way Pascal Vincent is treating his players. I personally do not like the idea, but I can understand where this entire thing comes from. If there is a lack of defensive responsibility and the lack of making the proper plays, then okay, I can understand taking some time and telling these players that they need to sit out for a little bit. But the way this is put out, I mean, this looks terrible. The optics on this are so bad, because at the end of the day, these are three of your best skilled young guys, and holding back their development because they're not doing what you like, they're not playing the kind of game that you like, you don't want to see the way they play the game, that's terrible. But optics aside, this is a learning experience, I feel, for everybody involved in the Columbus situation between the three players as well as the coach. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Pascal Vincent benching an entire line of Russian guys because he does not like the way they play? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.